Yeah. I apologize. I got a call that I was not expecting, and it wasn't a phone call that I could just say, "Hey, I'll call you later." But thank you for your patience. Obviously, great weekend, not just for us, for our campus, for our alumni base, for our fans, for our administrators. A lot of winning from across the board. Obviously, for us personally, real good win for our team in front of a great crowd. It was a recruiting weekend for us too. Baseball, college game day, what Dawn has built, and the platform that she's given women's basketball through the University of South Carolina is to be applauded and commended on an everyday basis. It's just a really, really good weekend for our university, and through the athletic microscope, or whatever you want to call it, that's created. But with that said, sometime last night, when the festivities I had going on ended, my brain got to Mississippi State, and I once again got depressed. So I'll have 48 hours of depression and be in a good mood on Wednesday and see if we can figure out another game.
Questions.
And I'm battling a cold, so it's just it's hard to sleep with this stuff.
Questions. David with the first one.
How's it going, Frank? Thanks for doing this. You guys beat a good LSU team, and I think you only went up one spot in the net rankings. I don't know if you even keep up with that stuff during the season or know about the metrics that go into it, but if you do, just what's kind of the explainer for just such a short rise after beating a strong team?
That's why I'm not a big fan of those formulas and computers and all that. I mean, LSU, I tried to say this after the game in a polite way. The people that cover SEC basketball overreact without actually paying attention sometimes. With Pinson in their lineup, LSU's been almost unbeatable this year. And they were a top 12, 10 team with him in the lineup. Then he got hurt. And when he missed whatever it was, 8 games or something like that, they didn't play as well. That's what happens when you lose your point guard. You can kind of put some Band-Aids over your wings and your centers. And you lose your point guard, it's really hard. You lose your quarterback in football, it's really hard. You lose your best pitcher in baseball, it's really hard. But they've got him back. They're a really good team. With him in the lineup, they've been the number 1 defensive team in the country, not kind of good, number 1. They were top 12 in the country in rankings, if I'm not mistaken. So we beat a healthy LSU team. That's why I'm not a big fan of metrics, Dave. I would hope, because this is the way other teams are judged around the country. I don't expect anyone to forgive us when we played Princeton because Keyshawn was suspended. That wasn't an injury. That wasn't an illness. It wasn't COVID. That was a suspension. That's a self-inflicted wound. You got to deal with it. But when we went to Coastal Carolina, we played without Jermaine Cousinard. I think Jermaine's a pretty darn good player and an established, 3-year starter in this league. And then when we went to Clemson, and I just used those 2 games because they're both away games, we played without 4 of our top 6 guys. And, we only had 8 guys that I could put in a game. And, and 3 of the 8 I had not played. And the 4th one is a walk-on. And so I would hope that those 2 games, people will look at them and realize, because of COVID, because of an injury, they were missing integral parts of their team. So when their team is together, they've been pretty good. And so I don't know. But I don't. That's why I don't get into all this. Somebody gets a lot of money to put these formulas together, to create talking points so they can get people to watch TV and read a website to generate daily interactions and attention to this nonsense. At the end of the day, you have to win enough games. If you win enough games, you get in the tournament, at least for the most part, with the exception of the year 2016.
Colin?
Last time you guys played Mississippi State, it was almost the exact same situation, coming off a quad 1-win, 3-game win streak, and you go down there and lose. What needs to change from an on-court perspective to kind of change that and come out on the right side of the game?
Yeah, after studying our game last night, we were not very good defensively. We did not play through our disciplines, and they attacked us. I just, we just let them score too much, and we never disrupted their offense in the first half, which is when they built that big lead. And then you're on the road. They were I think they had lost 3 in a row or 3 or 4 at the time, and they were at home and they were on edge. So then I went zone to try and disrupt the game, and 2 guys that combined shoot like 23% from the 3-point line made 4 out of 5 threes, and just it wasn't meant to be. It wasn't meant to be, but that was then, and now it's now. Similar situation. The difference is that they've won 3 or 4, if I'm not mistaken, and but it's that time of year, man. They're an older team. They obviously have an unbelievable basketball coach in Ben Howland. It's that time of year where everybody understands that the finish line, it's hard to see the finish line in January. Everyone starts seeing the finish line right now. And the sense of urgency for every play and every basket grows exponentially. So I don't expect it to be any different than that LSU game. They just absolute knock them down, drag them out, fist fight, and somehow, some way, one of the teams is going to score a little bit more than the other.
Michael and Anna?
Morning, Frank. You were talking about, obviously it being a big recruiting weekend, and just out of curiosity, with recruiting now, with, the changes with NIL rules and all of that, have you noticed a shift at all in as far as talking to recruits and kind of what they're looking for and things of that nature? Just curious if you've seen any kind of shift or change with those new rules.
Yeah, NIL is a big part of recruiting, especially when you're recruiting high-profile people. It is what it is, and I don't live in gossip. I don't live in accusations. I know the rules, and I will walk as close to the line as I can, but I will refuse to step across that line. I won't even touch the line. And the one thing I know in NIL, I am not allowed to engage in conversations about making a marriage to make an NIL deal work. I'm not allowed to guide people towards a family or a family towards people. I'm not going to do that. All I can do is utilize the resources that this university has created. Chance Miller has done an incredible job. Chance, our senior associate AD, has done an incredible job of what he has, the structure that he's created internally to allow our university to compete in that world and to give us clarity on what we can and can't do. And it's complicated. Every state, and that's the NCAA part. Then every state has a different set of rules. And what's legal in our state, what's illegal in our state might be legal somewhere else. So it's a complex dynamic that we're in. And the only thing I know is this: if I get involved in NIL conversations, I'm asking one of you guys for a job really, really fast. And I have no interest in being on the media. So I'd rather be a bouncer and get shot at the age of 60 than work in the media. Because it's as a journalist, you're in today's day and age, you're in a no-win situation. You're trying to get information out of me that I don't want to give, and you have to educate an audience that lives on social media that has no clue what's true and not true. And so that's what I do know. But I, Ray Tanner, Chance Miller, those guys have worked diligently to put us in the best possible space as a university to so we can create NIL opportunities. But when you're recruiting high profile athletes, I don't speak on things I don't know. And I don't live in gossip. But as coaches, we're not supposed to have those conversations. But at some schools in my sport, coaches don't have to get involved, man. Their alumni bases, they know who's being recruited, and they just go out and do it on their own. And unfortunately for me, our university, that doesn't happen in basketball. And it's not there yet, and that's why having Chance and Ray on board to educate and create these whatever opportunities are allowed to be created is so important for us. Sorry for the long answer, but that's a complicated topic right now.
Frank, Devin Carter's really been playing well of recent. Just what have you seen from him that's caused him to elevate his game recently?
Yeah, he's a great demeanor, great, unbelievable competitor. When we went through that stretch where I played him predominantly at point guard, I did it because I thought our point guard play needed personality at the time. And number two, to force him to understand. See, it's easy to just kind of run a wing and just know your play. And it's really complicated for young players to understand the responsibility of the other four guys on the court. And sometimes young guys, when they run the wing, because they're so used to just scoring in high school, they don't learn what the other four guys are doing. Well, when you play at the point, you better understand what the other four guys are doing. And I think playing him at the point so much during that stretch forced him to better understand our structure and what we're trying to do, rather than just let's try and get Devin a shot. And I think for those reasons, he understands what we're doing a lot better. And now he knows he's more comfortable playing with the ball in his hands, and he's also more comfortable playing off the ball. But he's an unbelievable competitor. He's going to be a really, really good player in this league, and I'm excited to go through that journey with him, and I'm glad he's on our team.
Mike Gillespie.
Hey, Frank, I know you and I were talking about this a little earlier, but have you given any thought to making up that South Carolina State game and where that fits in now with only 2 weeks left in the schedule?
Yeah, I mean, Tony Matlock and I spoke back in whenever that game was supposed to be played in December sometime, I think. And when, neither one of us had enough players to play the game at the time because of COVID. We agreed to that if he can find another opponent, that we would let him out of the contract. I don't think they've been able to find another opponent. It's easy if this was football. We just got to find a mutual open date and let's roll. And basketball is complicated. And why it's complicated is because now that we're in league play, so you guys understand the rules. If we stick his game into a league week, that means that we play 3 games in a week. If we play 3 games in a week, the following week, we got to take 2 days off. So that means that now we're going to disrupt practice time for our conference games the following week. I can't do that. That's not fair to our team. So it's got to be a date that works for him too. I mean, basketball is not a 1 day a week kind of deal. I'm not going to play. Let's use this week, for example, Mississippi State Wednesday, South Carolina State Thursday. That's not fair to our players. That's not fair to our program. So the whole time we continue to be in talks. We're still going to try and put the game in there. The date that, because their conference tournament is the week before our conference tournament. So we play Alabama on Saturday. If they're playing deep into the weekend, then obviously Sunday, Monday is probably not an option. But if they don't play deep into the weekend, we play, who do we play? At Auburn on Saturday. We might consider, depending if we don't play till Thursday, we might consider playing them on Monday if we can make it work. So it's we're still talking. That's not a dead issue. It's just I hope you understand. Right now, it's all about the league. I can't disrupt our practices in preparation for league play to plug a game in there Would I like to play the game? Yes, because I think it'd be great for our state. I think it'd be great for Tony. I got a lot of respect for Tony. I think Tony's going to do a tremendous job there. But unfortunately, we're in a tough spot right now.
Phil?
Hey, good morning, Frank. I'm sure you saw what happened after the Michigan-Wisconsin game yesterday. And have you ever wanted to take a swing at an opposing coach as you're walking down the line, considering your history as a bouncer and everything?
Phil, I'm not answering questions to people that were not at my press conference after the LSU game.
Sorry, I was at a football clinic learning about right tackles.
You're still trying to figure out why left tackles get beat off the edge. I mean, my God, it's probably because the guy across from him is a better athlete. Maybe that's but have I ever thought? No. And I'm not passing judgment. You're asking me if I've thought about hitting somebody. No. There are people I don't like in the business. Yes. Are there people I wish I would have met at a bar when I was 20 years old? Yes. But no, I'm not. I'm not. That's not me. That's not who I am. I think you've seen. I've been here 10 years. I know sometimes the only thing people pay attention to is 6 seconds where I get upset in a game. But I've been a part of a lot of sidelines for the last 38 years, and we've won some good games, lost some bad games. We've beaten and lost the people I respect, and we've beaten and lost people I don't respect. When the game's over, for me, it's over. It's not about the opponent. It's about joy of my team or disappointment in my team. And I'm not going to hold that against people on the other side.
Rick?
Hey, Frank, good morning. I know last year when you had 2 bouts with COVID and, you admitted, the way it zaps your energy, you couldn't coach the team like you wanted to. And now this season, I see you up on the sidelines pacing. You're very animated. How beneficial is that to you to be able to do that, especially with this young team, and to coach the team in that old Frank Martin style, especially during this crucial stretch of games?
Yeah, Rick, I'm going to use an analogy. And since you're asking the question, I'm going to use you as the analogy. I mean, how good could you be at your job if you lost your voice for 3 weeks? And you still had to do your job. You couldn't just say, I'm going to take 3 weeks off. And it was hard. It was hard. And what made it harder is not only did I not have the energy, the experiences of COVID, the journey that our team went through, it damaged our players' psyche. They heck, I just look around society and the challenges that people are having in our society right now. And it created just a very difficult moment for all of us. And that's where my disappointment came, Rick. And, one day I'll speak clear on what I just said there. I'm not going to do that right now. Is I've given this school, the previous 6 years, a lot of winning, a lot more winning that had happened around here for a long time. And it was either an overreaction out of ignorance or it was a negativity towards me that existed that had just been kind of quieted because we had been winning. And so that was disappointing to me. And that was part of my psyche that, I don't need people to hug me. I don't need people to kiss me. I don't need people to run around and tell me, Frank, you're my guy. I don't need that. I'm raised like my kids tell me, generation, whatever it's called, Z. I don't know what I am. I just know my kids are different. My children, they're different than me from that standpoint. And, but we're human beings, man. Sometimes we're down. And when we're down, we need the people that we're around to pick us up. And I had people pick me up last year, but I was disappointed on the way I was kind of drug into the ground too. But I don't live in yesterday. I don't hold grudges in life. I'm not a negative person. I'm always about uplifting those that are around me. I'm always about answering the call. And my health is good. The players on our team, the ones that stayed, whether it's Jermaine or Wildens or Keyshawn, or the new guys, whether it's Eric or Chico or James or my son, they've been unbelievable. The freshmen, they could have sat around and said, holy cow, they stunk. Their whole team transferred out. You know what? I'm not coming. Jacoby and Devin were both top 100 recruits. And they could have said, you know what? We're not. We don't need this. Taquan Woodley could have said, I'm not. No, they never budged. And those kids have bonded together, and they've come in and they restored my. I coach for the players. I don't coach for wins. I coach for the people. The people that believe in me. And so I'm in as last year was an unbelievable educational year for me. I learned a lot. I learned a lot about life. I learned a lot about the business. I learned a lot about everything. I'm in the greatest space I have been in, me, myself personally, probably since I've been in college basketball. And I'm extremely happy right now. I'm at peace. I really like my team. And I've got to do my job to help these players that they re-energized me to be who I am and to coach ball. You know, Rick, I rarely speak about myself, rarely, because it's not about me. I'm pretty good at my job. I know a lot of people don't like admitting that. I'm pretty good at my job. I think it's been proven over 38 years that I do my job pretty well. I had one bad year. So these players got me back to a good space. They centered me again to get my emotions and my belief in what matters, which is them. And my job is to help them continue to believe and grow and challenge them to go on and take the opponents and figure out a way to keep their spirits up in a time where our whole society lives on negativity. Keep their spirits up even on days that we don't play well.
Mike Cuba.
Frank, over the last couple of games, even in some of these games that you guys have won, maybe slow starts at times. I know you guys are going up against some good teams, but is there anything in particular that can help you guys get out to, you know, that faster start or not being able to fall into that early hole?
Yeah, I mean, some of these teams we're playing are really good. You know, it's you know, Georgia, I thought they came out to protect their home court, and we got down a little, but we weren't that bad early. At Ole Miss, it was pretty much a rock fight the whole damn time. But before that, it was Tennessee and Kentucky, and now LSU. All the Tennessee and Kentucky are Final Four teams. LSU's right there from the caliber of team that they are. It's I think our team, this is what I truly think I've learned from my team, is we do a pretty good job of feeling out the opponent as the game evolves. And as the game evolves, making the I don't want to say the adjustments, because that's the most overrated word in our profession, is adjustments. Like, really? Like, what, we're going to revamp what we do? I just think that we as a team, as the game goes on, we feel the way that game is flowing and what our opponent is doing well and what they're not doing well, and try to navigate in a better place for us. But believe me, I much rather be up 20-10 than down 20-10. But then again, maybe I can't remember the horse's name that loved. They figured out. Just let them smell that the other guy's going to beat them, and that horse is going to run a lot better. Maybe that's who we are. It's Seabiscuit. How about that? You didn't think I'd remember that name. Maybe we're a little like Seabiscuit. We kind of, we're not the biggest, we're not the most powerful, but somehow when we sense that somebody is going to beat us, we lock in and figure out a way to find that next gear to get past it. So maybe we can, if you tell me we won't be down in the first half, the next 4 games, and we're going to figure out a way to come back and win next 4, I'm all in. I don't care how much I age, I'm all in. Let's do it.
Michael and Anna.
Yeah, Frank, I wanted to ask a little bit about Josh Gray. How's he doing with his hand? I know he hasn't played of late, and I'm sure it's not easy to play with that cast on, but do you see him coming back and possibly playing for you guys at some point the rest of the way?
Yeah, he's practiced. Actually, going into the LSU game, the best 2 practices he's had. If we didn't have other people, I'd be forced to play him. Like last year, we didn't have frontline guys. If he was on the team last year, I've been forced to play him. It's really hard to play a big that can't catch the ball. It's because you can say, well, you throw him lobs. Well, that's not a strength of Josh's. So, that doesn't work. He's our second leading offensive rebounder. Well, how are you going to rebound with one hand? So he's kind of limited on what he can do offensively for us right now. But he's been better lately, and Mississippi State is the most physical team from an offensive standpoint in our league from using their big guys. They play 2 bigs and they post you. They probably post more than any team in our conference. So this might be a game where Josh, for defensive purposes, has to give us some minutes to help us protect the post against 2 really big dudes in Garrison Brooks and Tolu Smith.
All right. I don't see any more hands raised. Appreciate it, guys. Thank you, Coach.
Michael,
Yes.
Can I say something real quick?
Yeah.
Yeah, because Phil asked me earlier, whoever's going to write a story on that kind of stuff, please don't use my words to say that I would act differently than Jawan. That's not the question that I was asked. I don't interject my opinion on who I am with what happened last night. Jawan's a friend. I got a lot of respect for Jawan. That was unfortunate. I'm not into judging people, how they handle a moment. We all act like we're perfect sometimes and that we have all the answers until we're put in a situation. And then we realize that we can act the wrong way or whatever you want to opinionate there. But my answer to Phil was had nothing to do with an opinion as to what happened last night. Phil asked me if I ever thought of doing that, and my answer to that was no. And I hope that as you guys run with your stories, however you're going to word your stories, that you don't interject my answer as to that I would act differently than Jawan. That's not what I was asked.